Hi, I'm AC, and welcome back to Middle America News. Today's subject will be on the State of the Union speech by the President of the United States. Can you believe our President of the United States starts his speech out about a foreign country, the Ukraine? I'm not sure if this guy knows he's the President of the United States. Maybe he thinks he's the President of the Ukraine. It doesn't sound like an America First agenda to me. It sounds like America Last. The president's more interested in saying, if we don't keep funding the Ukraine's war, President Putin will take over all of Europe and not stop there. Second on the president's agenda was abortion. He thinks this will help him win the next election. So he's saying if you vote for the other party, women will have no rights. Now let's get into his third biggest issue, January 6th, the insurrection. What I like to do is break each one of these issues down one by one so I can expose the facades, lie, and spin that the president thinks the American people are gullible enough to believe. Then I like to do a conclusion on what's really important to the American people. So let's get started. The people that support the Ukraine war say the reason they do it is because if we ever go to war with Russia, they will be weakened. That our soldiers won't have to fight there physically, and we're selling them old military equipment. So my question is, why are we protecting a country that's not in NATO or has a democracy? Why didn't we protect Georgia, a European country that was trying to get in NATO? Instead, we watched Putin commit genocide on this country. Did we ever consider if Putin wins the war, how will the Ukraine be able to pay back the US for their debt? And finally, we have 29 allies that will fight with us. Albania, Belgium, Bulgaria, Canada, Croatia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Montenegro, Netherlands, North Macedonia, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, and Spain. Putin is struggling to win the war in the Ukraine. We have 29 allies in NATO, and we have the strongest military in the world. So why are we so afraid of this one country, Russia? The truth is, it's all about money, as usual. When you pass a bill for $75 billion, you better believe the politicians on both sides of the aisle are getting paid. It's either going to their foundations or into a campaign fund. Okay, the number 2 issue in the country, according to the president, is abortion. The president is telling us if you vote Republican, they're going to take away all women's rights. That's a lie. It's a state-by-state decision. I believe in smaller government and never allowing the government to be involved in our personal, intimate decisions. Why would anyone be involved in the decision except for the people you love, respect, and the 2 individuals involved? Why don't we take the taxpayers' money out of it and let each person or couple make their own decisions? And if you ask me, if the President of the United States thinks this is the second biggest issue we have, I'm embarrassed to be an American. Now let's go to the third issue, January 6th. Joe Biden, the president, has the audacity to compare January 6th, what he calls the insurrection, to the Civil War and 9/11. I find this ludicrous, appalling, and insulting to the 618,000 222 people who fought for the moral issues of slavery in the Civil War, and the 2,996 people who died in 9/11, in addition to the 343 first responders who died after. This is compared to one death of a civilian during a so-called insurrection who was unarmed. Now, let's talk about the real issues to the American people. The number one issue is inflation. Eggs were $1.99 a dozen, now $6 a dozen. A Subway sandwich was $6, now it's $13. A sack of potatoes was $1.99, and now it's $6. Gas was $2.50 a gallon, now it's $5.50 a gallon. The housing market interest rates were at 2%, and now they're at 8%. And this is just to name a few. Things are so bad today that people are using high interest credit cards to buy groceries. Let's go to the number two issue for the American people. That's the border. Why open borders don't work. I truly understand why people want to come to America. They see the freedoms, rights, benefits, and opportunities that this country has to offer. The reason why we have these opportunities is because of the immigration system we have in place, which allows 675,000 permanent immigrant visas each year. The President Joe Biden has allowed over 8 million illegal immigrants into our country in the last 3 years. When you allow a massive influx of immigrants, illegal immigrants, to pour into our country, it stresses our healthcare system, our social security system, temporary housing, education, subsidies, and more, which will eventually turn our country into a third world nation like the one they're leaving. Number three, crime. Defunding the police. Not a good idea, because when there's not enough police, it causes too much chaos, and then they can't always be there when we really need them. Looting. When you allow people to loot and steal up to $950 without any consequence, they're going to continue to do it. The trickle-down effect of that is the store owner insurance goes up, and he says, adios, I'm out of here. And that affects everyone. The American people don't feel safe on our streets, especially women and seniors. They're being robbed, bullied, and even raped, walking to subways, stores, or just walking to the park. This is because there's so little police presence. This goes to show you how out of touch our President Joe Biden is. Something to think about. Thanks, subscribe. I'll see you next time.